this is just a terrible scene to wake up to this morning, completely gutted out there.
It seems that way, Leanne, and a scene that has been somewhat familiar over the last few days, and many people questioning this in terms of what is going on. The looting, one thing, but why are we seeing people setting fire to these buildings in the aftermath? So for the latest on the Gauteng Unrest, let's cross now to our reporter Chriselda Lewis, who is at the Chris Hani Mall in Vosloorus. Chriselda, good morning. It's been non-stop for you, as it has been for the looters. Vosloorus, we're seeing those visuals right now, but Chriselda, please talk to us. What's going on?
So obviously just trying to get hold of Chriselda. As soon as we do, we will cross over to her. But, this is just such I mean, we started seeing the visuals coming out of the Chris Hani Mall from last night, and there were some exceptionally graphic images. I'm not sure if you got to see those, Sakina. It's something you don't really want to be seeing. But, I mean, it was just the looters. Firstly, the mall had flooded, if I'm not mistaken. Then again, the looters were caught trying to loot, and then there was just violence that ensued. But I think Chriselda's ready now, so
I believe so.
Let's
try again. Chriselda, hopefully you can hear us now, and we just want you to talk us through these visuals, Leanne, relating what happened last night, but please recap for us and tell us what's happening at the moment.
Well, a very good morning to you, Sakina, and Leanne, and to our viewers as well. These live pictures from the Chris Hani Mall in Vosloorus on the East Rand of Johannesburg. And this is where firefighters are still on scene at this particular point, battling what had been an earlier blaze that had taken place inside this mall. One of the areas, the Jet stores here at the Chris Hani Mall, set on fire. We're not sure exactly what time the blaze itself had started, but my colleague Sbutembe, very brave, going inside here. We're going to try and bring him out just a little bit. We've got to try and stay safe while we try to report. The smoke is quite overwhelming here, and the firefighters are still on scene of this fire here at the moment, and we understand that been here for a couple of hours now. You must know that Vosloorus has been one of the problematic areas where there has been sporadic incidents of violence. I also understand from the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department that the body of one person was also found here in the early hours of this morning. Those are the indications that we're having at this particular point. But from what you have seen just now, firefighters are still on scene here at the moment. But to my surprise, have a look there. You will see some of the residents in this area who are still inside the mall, despite the fact that there's quite a lot of smoke in here, unperturbed, and basically trying to salvage or loot whatever it is. I think salvage would be the wrong word, because they're helping themselves to whatever it is that they can find here at the moment. So quite a number of people woken up quite early in the morning. There you have, carrying plastics, carrying bags with whatever it is that they can find. Some of them covering their faces, don't want to be seen. Quite obviously, we'll go towards this direction again, and you can see from here the smoke still coming through from the Jet stores, where I believe the fire itself had started, and it is now spreading to other parts, a bit of the smoke, but it's not deterred many of these people who are here, who are still continuing to take whatever they want. The looting essentially continuing. I've not yet managed to spot, Sakina, as well as Leanne, whether there's a presence of the South African National Defence Force here at the moment. But I'll try and move towards other areas as well, and just have a sense of the extent of the damage in terms of the fire itself. But this mall, completely destroyed. One has to really try and manage whether they can move to certain parts. I'll show you just in a few moments where parts of the roof have collapsed, and it's very dangerous to move towards those particular directions, because it really doesn't make any sense how the roof managed to almost collapse, yet it's in some of the areas where it had not been affected by the fire. I will show you in just a moment. My colleague Sputembe is coming towards this direction. So the extent of the looting and the damage, it's not just basic of breaking of windows and looting what is inside those stores, but I will show you in just a moment. My colleague Sputembe, the roof over there, which is basically collapsed. How that has happened, whether there had been individuals on the roof, one certainly cannot say at this particular point. But that is the extent of the damage, which is obviously going to run into millions. There is no way that this mall is going to open in the next month. If you look at the extent of the damage, I'm not one to do, officially some assessment on the extent of damage, but just with the naked eye, you can tell that because of the extent of the damage, this is going to take a very long time for them to try and put this together. We'll just take you now to another side where the firefighters are. A very slippery situation here. We've got to try and be careful. Leanne, did you want to ask a question?
Chriselda, no, I mean, we just watching on, and one doesn't know how you actually go about building this back up, and it's quite amazing to see that you've actually still got people out looting this morning. It's just, even though there's nothing left, but they're having a little peep through to see if in fact maybe there is something there. So, as you say, no police presence. Firefighters, are there at least some form of emergency personnel on the scene?
Firefighters. Yes, that's right, Leanne. There are emergency personnel on the scene, and they're still trying to contain this blaze, trying to make sure that it doesn't flare up. The fire engines are also still on scene. I'm just trying to maneuver where we are now to try and show you those visuals, because they're just parked right outside. So we're trying to figure out which entrance has been left open so that we can move out of this particular direction. But you can still see, look at some of those bins. Anything to put items in. That's what's taking place here at the moment. And firefighters, I did not see police at all, Leanne, when we drove in here and quickly connected our machines to ensure that we bring you this live coverage. Have a look again. We're going to go past the Jet stores, which has been significantly impacted by this. That's where the smoke is coming from. And we're just trying to move. One has to be really careful here, Leanne, not to slip and get hurt, because there's just water everywhere. It is a complete mess. There is no way that they're going to be able to salvage or try and get this mall up and running anytime soon. This is one of the malls, of course, that services the Vosloorus area. You have a look, ATMs. Remember yesterday in Soweto when we crossed live on the program, ATMs not spared, keypads taken from the ATMs. We'll ask you, what are you going to do with some of the items that have been taken? So absolute lawlessness that has taken place, despite calls for, a calm. The looting continues. I'm hearing some sirens outside. Just going to try and get out there. The visuals we showed you earlier, of course, you saw those firefighters trying to douse what remains of the fire. And you see, people just not afraid. As they come in, firefighters continue with their work. And I'm just going to check what those sirens are. Oh, that seems to be one of the shops, of course. The alarm system's going off at all of these shops where, of course, there's been a fire or the looting itself continues. Here's the fire truck here. Very difficult for us, Leanne. Have a look, just some of whatever that you can find. The tin fish, shoes, anything that is here, even though it's in a bit of mud, and nobody really cares. They'll get home and I guess wash it off. This is one of the fire trucks that is here. We'll show you the smoke a bit from outside where we are. 1, 2 fire trucks here at the moment. Let me see. I think there's someone inside there. I don't think that they're authorized to speak to us at this stage. All right. 1, 2. There's a third fire truck, Leanne, which is on the other side. Let me just have a word and see. Sanbonani? All right. I'm sure they're not authorized to speak to us. I just wanted to get a bit of information, a bit about what time this had started. That's the second fire truck. All right, and then we'll just show you the third truck, Leanne, before we cross back to you, and then you'll come back to us a bit later on. There's the other trucks there. My colleagues Wutembe will just show you the other truck. This gentleman coming with his car to come and loot, scenes that we have seen. More fire trucks right there at the entrance of the mall. Right there. Leanne, that's what we have for you at this particular point. Firefighters seem to have the situation under control, but still smoke quite heavily inside the Chris Hani Mall here in Vosloorus after it had been set on fire. Also hearing from the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department indicating that a body had been found here in the early hours of this morning. Concerns also over the death toll, which keeps rising. 72 is what the South African Police Service issued last night in a statement indicating that the loss of life now at 72, and there are fears that it could rise if this continues.
Right, Chriselda Lewis out in Vosloorus this morning. That's the Chris Hani Mall. That's where she's located. And as you saw, it is absolutely gutted. There is nothing left. But looters still making their way in there to see if, in fact, they can grab something. So, Sakina, on the other side of the screen is Durban CBD.
It is. And there, as you can see, these are live visuals as we wake up. And Vusi Khumalo is our reporter on the ground there to tell us what's been happening in Durban overnight. Vusi, good morning. And, of course, we've seen the scenes of mayhem and really scenes that have just been uncharacteristic. We've never seen things the like that we saw come out of Durban yesterday. So please tell us overnight and this morning what's been happening.
Good morning, Sakina, as well as Leanne. Yes, indeed, these are the scenes that are unprecedented in the history of the country. Currently, you must be seeing a police vehicle. The police vehicle that's been escorting some shop owners who are here trying to salvage some of the little items that has been spared from the mayhem that's been taking place here. Today being the third day of the riots, of looting. We're going to take a drive just on the CBD here in Durban to show you the extent of the damage, a trail of destruction after the mayhem here. This, as you can see, police here, because some of the mop-up operations have already begun. We are seeing now the heaps and heaps of garbage and refuse that's been accumulated as a result of looting that's been taking place here in Durban. But what I can also tell you is that just yesterday we saw two separate incidents of the fire. Two buildings were set alight right here in the Durban CBD. One on the Monty Naika streets. Two buildings were set alight. Those buildings accommodated clothing shops such as Woolworths, Ginger International, but Woolworths was partly damaged, but the other shop, that is Ginger International, a clothing shop, was really affected. The fire gutted the first floor as well as the second floor. It was spreading very fast, but we also saw the emergency personnel springing up to action, managing to douse a fire on that in that instant. And also minutes later, there was another fire that was set here on the Durban CBD on the West Streets. But the emergency personnel also came in here and they managed to put out those fires. So 2 fires yesterday in a space of about 2 hours here. And also police, we also saw police. The first people that sprang to action were police, who were the ones who called the assistance of the fire and emergency services to come and assist. At the moment, you are seeing a canopy of shopping, of the stores, the supermarkets, the clothing shops, your PEP, Identity, and Truworths. Some of the shops here on the Durban CBD were spared. That's why we are also seeing a number of people also coming in order to loot. What I can also tell the viewers is that even last night, we went to, at about 11 o'clock, we went to Kettle Ridge, where there is a warehouse known as the Velu Logistics. That was looted. We saw about 500 vehicles being hired and being brought by the people there in order to carry the loot. The refrigerators being loaded onto their vehicles. It was a chock-a-block traffic. We were not even able to get to that place. We saw a truck as well being burnt, and also before being burnt, people also took some stuff from it on the way to the main warehouse. And also what we also came to know early this morning is that there is Afrox gas and gear which was blown off at Inanda Drive this morning. We got that information from our colleague Nonkulego Hlope, our radio colleague, who has just got that information that an industrial gas supplier exploded early this morning. So it has been also feared that it could also extend to other areas there nearby, because that's a chemical industry that has just blown off. So at the moment, Ndabe is showing you some of the items here. The shops that were spared. You see Nando's and also some other stores as well. What's also been a bit comforting, we saw 2 fuel tankers being escorted by private firm security because the fuel is running dry in some of the filling stations here in Durban. With that said, we're going to hand it back to you in studio.